You are listening to the Bright Life Podcast, all about ways to stay inspired, chase your dreams, and find more gratitude in the highs and lows of the journey. I'm your host, Jessica Johnson. I'm a business owner, a part-time digital nomad, a self-growth junkie, a believer in other big-hearted women, and am all about sharing tips, tricks, lessons learned, and encouragement so we can all live our biggest, brightest lives. You ready? Let's do this. Hey, how is it going? I am so pumped to be talking with you today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with me. It honestly means the world to me. It truly does. And if you haven't already, would you share this podcast with a friend, even if it's just sending them a quick email or text or even posting to Instagram stories? If you tag me, I'll totally thank you personally. But it just really helps other people find this podcast and inspires me to keep going and know that it's making a difference for people. And that's really why I'm doing it and why it's still so fun after all these episodes. So I'd be so appreciative if you would take a second or two to do that. And today, and thank you in advance, and then today I want to share about something that I hear probably the most from people, and that is this concept of like, how do you find your passion? How do you know what you should be doing with your life? How do you find more passion if you feel like you are kind of just in that middle zone where you're going through the day and all's good, but you could have more of it? We want you to feel lit up by your life, right? And to have this big, bright life that inspires you and fulfills you and makes you feel so creative and alive and fulfilled. And so I'm just going to share a few things today that have always helped me, that have never steered me wrong in terms of finding more passion in my life. And so I hope they help you as well. They're super simple. You can implement any of them that feel good to you today. The first one that I like to think about is, what did you used to do when you were little? So was there something that you would do to play? I know for me, I used to go and spend my allowance at the teacher's store, and I would get supplies to teach this room full of stuffed animals, and I would literally go home at the end of the day and teach them what I had learned from school that day, and I'd give them stickers and like pretend assignments, and I'd grade everything. I was obviously a very cool child, but for me, obviously that would have been a great clue that I love to teach. I love to mentor others. No matter what I do in my career, I feel like I always find myself back to loving to have this cohort of people I teach, whether it's wellness, now it's content and marketing and business building, right? Because that's what's so exciting and fulfilling to me and what changed my life so much. But that was a really good clue. I think another one was like, I loved to do art. So it makes sense that I like to be creative. I like to share things. And now I do a lot more graphic design art. But that'd be another one. So for you, like, what did you do when you were little? Did you play music? Did you go outside a lot? Did you find you were the kid that just always had a book and would go read? What kind of little things did you do at magic shows? Like, or talent shows, right? Like, I think of kids that did magic, and I think of kids that sang, or kids that, what did you like bring to show and tell, right? Like, all those things can be such good clues for your truest self before you learned to care about certain things and to not care about others based on the outside world. What did you care about in your inner world, right? Another thing that I like to think about is, what are you freakishly good at? Like, what do you have an amazing memory for that no one else does? Like, are you really good at remembering the recipes and everything? Are you really good at remembering details or organization things? Like, maybe you can organize a closet like it's no one's business and no one else can remember that stuff. Or maybe you know so much about crypto and finance and investing that you just have a knack for it, and you can explain it to your friends and their eyes just glaze over and they don't get it, but for you it comes so easily. Right? Maybe it's real estate, maybe it's cars, maybe it's marketing things or apps or, I don't know, art, whatever. What do you just have a natural affinity for? One of the telltale signs that I knew I wanted to learn more about wellness is I felt like I could remember the qualities of any kind of food. I could remember what was good about certain foods and what the nutrients were and how much fiber they had in them and how much protein, and no one would ever have to even tell me again. It just stayed in my brain. So I begin to realize, maybe there's something about me that really likes this wellness stuff. And so it can be a little thing like that for you. Like, what are you just really good at? Or what do you have an affinity for? What do you remember that no one else does? Another thing too that you can look at is like, is there something that people always ask you for advice on or help on? So again, like I have a few friends who are amazing at organization. They're like the Marie Kondo, right, of a home organization, just getting things super clean in their own way. And so that is a unique skill set. I have other friends who are so good with numbers. I have other friends who are so good with like quantum physics and manifestation type things. Other friends who just know style or photography. So is there something that people are always coming to you asking for help with that you never even really thought you could do anything with? That's just how you are. But that could be a really good sign that there's something there to pay attention to and to play with. What this really boils down to is something I've talked about before, but I call it chasing your curiosities. Because I think I used to put so much pressure on finding the one or two things that I was good at that I could make a career out of, instead of releasing that pressure and instead just chasing my curiosities and seeing where they led. Because more often than not, let me tell you, those curiosities and chasing them ended up leading into businesses or careers or money-making side hustles. So, or just fulfillment too, right? Like just enjoyment for enjoyment's sake, and that it brings you a lot of value in your life too. So I think if you can relax around, this has to be the thing, this has to be the one thing that I go do, and the one thing I'm good at, and the one thing that leads to my next career evolution, and you just spend a little time every weekend, or maybe Tuesday nights it's your thing, and you just go and chase one of those curiosities. And you take a cooking class, or you go to a real estate function, or you work on getting a boater's license, or you plan a trip or something like that, and you just go and see where those curiosities lead you. You might be surprised that you actually just found your way to a new passion. And because it's so fun and so fulfilling, it kind of ends up having a path of its own in that way. The other thing that I like to remember is like, you don't have to be good at things to still have an amazing time doing them or have reason for them in your life. So, for example, like if you want to be more creative and you used to draw all the time, you can draw again and you don't have to be good at it. Think about how a child draws. They're not drawing to win first place or to impress a teacher. I mean, maybe some are, but the ones that are enjoying it and the ones that are getting the most out of it are doing it, and it can be terrible, but they're having fun. Right? And so maybe you're going to go to a dance class because you love to dance, and you might be the worst dancer in there, but you're going to have an amazing time. So kind of almost removing that measuring stick that we all have in becoming adults of just the outside approval and outside external approval is what qualifies something as good or bad for you. And instead, how does it make you feel? Like, does that hour go by forever? What do you lose yourself in for an hour if you're doing it? I know for me, it was often writing, and I would have a blog for every weeknight for a few years, and no one really read it. I mean, it was probably like 10 or 15 people, probably my mom like 5 of those times. But I loved doing it because I lost myself in it. And this podcast is a little bit like that, where I do it because I love it. And so if there's something for you that you just love and you lose your time in, that can be worth it too, whether you're good or bad at it. But the thing is, usually those things that you're so in love with, you have a way of getting really good at over time, right? But just remembering that there is that permission to just play again and to do things for the sake of the joy that they bring you. All right. So if you've ever wondered, like, what could I do? I'm feeling like I'm in a rut. I wish I had more passion. I wish I knew where to look to get more of it, to feel that fire again. That's where I would begin. I would think about, what did you used to do when you were little, and make a list of 5 things. I'd think about, what are you freakishly good at? What do you know about? What do you remember that no one else does, but it seems like comes really easy for you? And make a list of 2 to 5 things. And think about, what do you always get asked by friends or family for advice on or help with? Make a list of those things. And start to see if there's any overlap between them. And then go and just chase one of the curiosities. See which one your body and your heart seems to get the most excited about. and go and be a beginner again and play and see where it leads you. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be pretty. It can just be a hot mess, but at least you'll have a dang good time doing it. And I think that process alone is literally how to start bringing more and more passion and fun and joy into your life. And you may end up with a whole new career or side hustle or income stream or business. But if nothing else, you end up with more joy and more passion and more happiness. And that is a pretty worthwhile destination as well. Don't you agree? All right, so go make those lists. Message me on Instagram at HiJessicaJohnson. Let me know one passion that you uncovered that you think would be kind of fun to explore more, that you hadn't even really noticed was hiding underneath there. And I'm going to celebrate with you and be so excited to hear that one of these helped. So thank you. I can't wait to hear what you find, and go get it. If this episode resonated with you, I have something you are going to love. As you may know, part of what helps me create my own version of my brightest life is copywriting and content marketing. Building a content business helped me replace and surpass my corporate income, to see the world while working from anywhere, and to choose clients that light me up every single day. If you're at all curious about doing the same, I have broken it down for you in a copywriting starter kit, all the beginning steps you need to build your own profitable freelance business. I will link it in the show notes, so definitely check it out if you're interested. Thank you so much for being here, and I will chat with you next Thursday.